Hi there, this is BK from CocoZini. In today's tutorial, I'll be making the size medium of the face mask pattern that I drafted in my previous video. I'll also make sure I put a link to it down in the description below. One thing I forgot to mention in my last video when I was drafting this face mask is that the finished product, which is the finished mask when you're done making it, for the medium size is 6 inches from the nose to the ears. The small size is going to be 5 inches. The extra small size is going to be 4 inches. The large is going to be 7 inches, and the extra large is going to be 8 inches. And these measurements are when it's folded like this picture. To get started, we're going to use the medium pattern. Now we're going to cut 2 lining, 2 fabrics, and 2 fusible interfacing. I'm using this fusible interfacing as my filter. So when you're cutting it, make sure you have the 2 rough sides facing each other before you cut it out. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe to get more sewing videos from me. Then also when you're cutting the main fabric, make sure you have the right side facing each other before you cut it. We're going to do the same thing with the lining. If you're using a lining that has a right and wrong side, make sure that the right side is facing each other before you cut it. But I'm using a lining that has the same right and wrong side, so I don't need to do that. So what we're going to do next is we're going to fuse the fusible interfacing on the lining. So when if you have a fabric that has a right and wrong side, make sure you're fusing the interfacing on the wrong side of the lining. And you're using the rough side, you're placing it on the wrong side of a fabric. Then you're going to get an iron and you're just going to fuse it. You just go ahead and do the same to the other piece too. When you're done, you place it together with the right side facing each other and the fused side up. Then we're going to use a pin to hold it down because we're going to stitch at 1/4 inch seam allowance on that front edge. So I'm just pinning it down for now. Then I'm going to do the same thing with the main fabric. So with my right side facing each other, like I'm doing right now, that's the right side, I'm going to pin it just like I did the lining. Then I'm going to take it to the machine and stitch it at 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I am done stitching it, and here is what it looks like. And here is the lining, and here is what it looks like too. So one next step that we're going to do is that we're just going to go ahead and snip the curve, and this is just to allow that curvy area to lay flat. Make sure while you're snipping it that you're not cutting through your stitches. So you're going to do the same thing to the main fabric, both the main fabric and the lining. What we're going to do next is we're going to grab the lining, then we're going to fold it in with 1 inch, and we are going to pin it down. We're going to do this to the other side also, and we're just going to pin it down. The reason for this is just to allow for extra filter, just in case you want to add more filter to the face mask. So we're going to take it to the machine and we're going to stitch it down right at the edge. Here is what it looks like after I got done stitching it. And what we're going to do next is that we're going to align the front side of the fabric of the main fabric to the front side of the lining. So make sure you align the two together right at the top. Then go ahead and pin it, or pin them together. I'm going to go ahead and pin the other side at the top too, just to make sure they are aligned. Then I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of the top too. Okay, so here is what the top looks like when I got done pinning it. So I'm going to go ahead and pin the bottom part. I'm aligning it at the middle, and I'm going to pin the middle. Then I'll just go ahead and pin the rest part of it too. This is just to make sure things are aligned and easy to sew when you take it to the machine. And when you're done, take it to the machine and sew it at 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Here is what it looks like after I got done sewing it. What I'm going to do also is I'm just going to go ahead and snip those curves. Just make sure you're not cutting through your stitches. Just a little itty bitty snip or snip, both to the top and the bottom, so it's easy and lays flat when you turn it to the other side. So I'm done, and I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to turn it right side out. I am done turning it. So just go ahead and go give it a good press. So what you're going to do next is you're just going to go ahead and edge stitch both the top and the bottom, like that. Just go ahead and take it to the machine and edge stitch both the top and the bottom. Okay, I am done edge stitching it, and that is what it looks like. See the edges? That is what it looks like after I got done. I forgot to mention in the beginning that we're going to need 2 straps, which is 8 inches long of elastic. I am using 1/2 inch elastic, so if you have the 1/4 elastic, that is recommended. So here is what we're going to do next. We're going to do the casing of the elastic, just at the edge or the sides of the mask, I will say. Okay, so we're going to fold 1/8 of an inch, like so, very tiny 1/8. Then we're going to fold it one more time into 1/2 of an inch, but just make sure you're not covering the lining. Make sure it stops at right before the lining. You're not covering the lining because there needs to be a space for the extra filter. See, that should be that space right there. Make sure you're not covering the lining, so it stops right there. So you're going to go ahead and stitch close to the edge of the elastic casing. If you have an airband at home, you can use it too. So you're going to do, just put it in and fold 1/8 of an inch. Then you're going to fold it over the hairband like that. Then you can just use a pin to hold it down. On the 2 sides. Then you're going to go ahead and stitch close to the edge of that casing to make sure you're not stitching the band. So just stitch close to the edge of the casing and make sure you're not closing up the lining too. So that is just another option if you don't have an elastic and you have hairbands at home. So I have gone ahead and I have stitched the casing, and here is a space that you can use for the other filter if you want to add more filter to it. So we're now going to add our elastics. Grab a safety pin, insert it to your elastic. Then we're now going to take you through that space that we created, the elastic casing. So just take it through into it. We're going to do this to the both sides. Once you're able to get the elastic through the casing, like so, do the same to that other side too. Okay, so we're going to overlap the elastic like half an inch on top of each other. Then we are going to hold it down with a pin, and we're going to take it to the machine and zigzag stitch it several times back and forth to secure the elastic. I'm done securing the elastic, so I'm going to hide that little joint that I have. I'm going to just push it into the casing, so people won't see where I joined the elastic. So when you're done with this, the two sides, that is it. That's the end of the mask. So this mask, it's 6 inches from the nose to the ear. I will be making the smaller size in my next video. So if you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe if you're a returning subscriber. Thanks for stopping by. Until the next time, stay safe and God bless. Bye-bye.